Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Jasmine the Buffet Witch, and welcome to my Beauty Babe playlist. Let's jump right on in. We've got 8 palettes in this playlist, and I'm super excited to do some looks with these. So let's talk about what we're going to be seeing. The first palette is going to be the Smoky Smoky Smoky. I always buy the 42 pan palettes. I just prefer to have all the shades over the smaller curated palettes, and it's just been something that works for me. I picked this one up because if you've seen my Spotlight series, then you know that I do enjoy a good gray shadow, a smoky shadow, and I love anything deep dark, and give me a black and we're having a good time. This palette really spoke to me because it gives me a variation of all the different types of smoky tones you can use, and I'm really starting to love that type of makeup. So this was a no-brainer. I really like the Beauty Bay shimmer formula, although I wouldn't exactly call them shimmers. I think they're more like metallics, but they're very shiny, which is why I think people call them shimmers. But either way, they are very beautiful, a little bit putty like, and on their own they're nice, but when you add a glitter base or glitter glue, good times. The next palette I picked up is the Rich palette. I picked this one up because the tones look so beautiful and deep and saturated, and I really like the bottom 2 rows with those gorgeous berry tones. Really my favorite when it comes to pinks and like reddish shades. The deeper the better. I'm not really in for those super bright like milkier base type colors or like fuchsia or like magenta type pinks and purples. Not my favorite, but I thought this would be a really nice addition. Honestly, the site made it look a little bit deeper, but I am still very pleasantly surprised and pretty happy. I like the warmth of these kind of reddish orangey browns mixed in with these berrier browns. It's going to be a good time. I also picked up the Fiery 2.0, and honestly, I need to stop because yellow and I, as I'm wearing yellow right now, we're kind of getting along, but we're still in litigation, okay? But this one just spoke to me. The reds, the orange, the yellows, I was like, that's another yellow. I gotta test to see if we can get the yellow I'm looking for. So I had to get this one. I just had to. I went back and forth plenty of time, but I had to get it, and then it really got me because it has a black. And thinking about these beautiful bright neonish shades with this deep black or these deep berry reds, I was like, give it to me. I cannot wait to dip my face all up in this one. I also picked up the Bright Mattes. Now, the only reason I got this is because I believe it came with this palette. Beauty Bay will kind of like group them together. You can get certain palettes together, but the configurations are not always what I want. So I actually ended up with a 16 pan Rich palette to get this one, which I'll be giving to my sister because again, I don't like the smaller ones. So these two came together. I do have the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Blend palette, which is a matte rainbow palette. So for this one, I'm gonna give it a few tries because I am always down to find a new matte formula that I love, and having a rainbow palette this in depth and this I'm sorry, I just almost threw it over my shoulder, girl. This in depth with this many different variations of blues and greens and pinks and oranges and things like that is always fun. Of course, I'm gonna give it a shot, but if it's no different or better than my blend palette, I'll probably give this to my sister as well. Salty, catch. Now, the last 4 palettes are palettes I have had for a few years. Unfortunately, 2 of these palettes I don't see on the Beauty Bay site anymore, which is really unfortunate because they're probably 2 of the most commonly liked palettes. Well, that's not true because the neutral one is really good as well. But anyways, let's just talk about it. So, the neutrals. I really love this palette. When I first bought the 4 last palettes I'm going to talk about, I did a series on my Instagram where I did 10 plus looks with each and every palette. I wasn't planning to rank them, but I eventually ended up ranking them, and it turned out that this was my #1 palette. I loved this one the most. This is, if you do bridal makeup, get this. This is bridal makeup to a T. Every type of like traditional bridal look you can think of here. Now, side note, Dion from Dion Loves Makeup here on YouTube and Instagram, she just she went through the Beauty Academy and did one of their courses, and she made a very interesting point about kind of like universally in the US, I guess, when we say bridal makeup, we're thinking of makeup for traditional like white women, just to be blunt about it. And she's very right, and there's nothing wrong with that style, but when you say bridal makeup, that's what you think of. That is so right, Dion. You be helping me think about things. And when I think about this palette and I say bridal, those are exactly the looks that my brain pumps out. Definitely I have to like start looking at different cultural styles of makeup for different things, like wedding makeup, or I don't know what other kind of makeups you could have, but definitely wedding makeup. You're very, very right. But if you are doing traditional American bridal makeup, this is the palette for you. It's very surprising. You think that you're gonna get just basic looks out of it, but these beautiful berry and mauve tones add such a beautiful touch to this thing. I love this palette. This is one of my favorites of all the Beauty Bays that I own. The next palette is the Berries. Now this one was the one that I liked the least, and honestly I'm still not 100% sure if it made my eyes super itchy. Red pigments and pink pigments sometimes can cause irritation. I don't know what it is about the red pigments. Are we still using bug shells for stuff like that? I don't know, girl. Anyways, but this one I did like 8 looks in one day, so that was probably my fault, but I was excited. Okay, I couldn't help it. Again, not my favorite color scheme. These super bright, excuse me, on the tail end of this cold. Please just let me go. But these are not my favorite tones of pink, but they work. I can work with them. I can do things with them. I would like something a bit deeper, a little bit more saturated. I mean, these are very saturated colors, but deeper, more like the rich palette. So I could see myself mixing this palette with like the smoky palette and the rich palette, just to get that depth that I'm looking at. But these would be great blending out shades. But I did come up with 11 looks, I think, out of this palette, and it was a good time, but not my favorite, okay? Last 2 palettes are my favorites. I love these palettes so much, and I'm very, very sad that I don't think these are available anymore, so it's very unfortunate. I'm talking about the 42 Pan Earthy palette. This is a green eyeshadow lover's dream. This palette is gorgeous. It's gonna give you everything you want. Now, personally, just personally, I could have dealt without this bottom row. I could have dealt without it. It did create a little bit of difficulty with me blending the entirety of the palette together, but after a bit of brain scratching, I was able to figure it out. But it's still not my favorite. I have to definitely do, well, in this playlist, we'll be doing looks with all the palettes. If I'll do 10 per palette, I'm not sure, but that is typically my goal. But this one will definitely challenge me. This one in the Berries will definitely challenge me again to try to get new looks from the looks that I did on my Instagram. If I can remember, and if I have the time, energy, or the interest, I might go ahead, snatch some of those photos from these 4 palettes and pop them up so you can see some of the things that I have done, in case you don't follow me on Instagram. And if you don't want to, it's perfectly fine, okay? But this is a really great palette. I love all the different tones of greens, and what I love about Beauty Bay is they're gonna give you all different types of shimmers. Again, I think they're metallics, but I'm talking, you get your dark shimmers. Some of them are multi-chrome, some of them are straight foil, like metallic. Some of them are light, some of them are dark, some of them are medium. That's very important in making a very versatile palette. So yes, it's a 42 pan palette, you get 42 colors, but having those different finishes and different colors of shimmers really amplifies this thing, because there's something kind of unique, I think, about dark shimmers. They're not everyone's favorite. We don't typically reach for a dark shimmer, but when you have one and you need it for what you need it for and you can find it, it's great. I love a dark shimmer every once in a while. It's a really nice touch. So, and the last palette is going to be the Midnight palette. That's right, we saved the best for last, the Blurples. Blue, purple, give it to me, give it to me. This palette is absolutely beautiful. I know that this is a love of many people, and unfortunately, like I said, it is no longer on. I don't see it anywhere on the Beauty Bay site, and I've looked a few times just to see if maybe I missed it, because technology does hate me. It could have been hiding, but I did not see it, so that's really unfortunate, because this is a banger. I love this palette. I love the shimmers in this palette, and they are all quite deep, but they're so beautiful. They're so versatile. This is one of my faves. It's a nice little bluey mint thing, but more than that, the different tones in the blues, this is exactly why I was like, I cannot get the curated palettes. I can't get the small ones. I want all of those tones. Even if you end up having tones that are very similar or look, or like they translate very similarly on the eye, if you like them, okay, now you've got 2, you know? So I have absolutely no regrets of buying all the large size palettes. They're gorgeous. A little cumbersome to store, but That ain't no thing. I like to change my storage up quite frequently, so it's not a problem for me, okay? But those are going to be the palettes in the Beauty Bae playlist. I hope you are excited for these looks. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or suggestions on what I could do, what you would like to see, please let me know in the comments, and I will do my very best to do that for you. So yeah, that's what we have to look forward to. I am not really going to have any rhyme or reason about which palette I pick. I'm going to mix and match them. I'll probably actually do two, like do 2 looks with each and every palette and then start over again just to keep it fresh, keep it fun so I don't get stuck or I get bored, things like that. But thank you so much for tuning into my channel. It's been me, Jasmine, the Buffet Witch, and you already know that because we're talking very, very fast, but somehow we didn't even bring up you know who or you know what. We're not going to, but you know what I'm talking about. Of course you do. Please make sure you go ahead and drink some waters. I'm going to, because now I've been talking in my throat, okay, with a K. It's screaming at me. Drink some water, take a beat, take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.